When I first came to America, I was very young and I did not speak any English. And I remember for that time, it being very quiet. It was almost like I had earmuffs on. When people would speak, I could hear something, like almost a static sound, but I could never understand. And I remember feeling very, very alone. And I remember this one time, we were very poor when we came to America. We lived in my grandfather's trailer. And I remember we had a bunch of family over. I was maybe 5 years old. And I remember standing in the corner of a room and looking out into everyone. And no one was speaking to me. I was very, very alone. And I remember having this thought. I remember thinking to myself, one day, I'm going to be so important in everyone's lives that when they walk into a room, they will only want to speak to me. And I was like 5, and I think it's such a goofy thought to think about it, but I've never really forgot that moment. And so I've kind of carried that, you know. Sure, I can sober up and become a high-value woman, find a high-value man, have children, be a Greenwich housewife. But then what? Then what? But it's like you leave a legacy, but it's like if I'm famous, I feel like I would experience life at such a heightened level that it would totally engross me and I would really feel so alive. Whereas I feel like otherwise my life would be a bit more muted. I'll be the grandmother with great stories, sure, but then what, I don't know. The thing is I've been in love and I've been in relationships, but I've never been happy. And it's not the case because the people I was with necessarily, but it's the saying, wherever you go, there you are, I've always been miserable. I've always been happy. And it's not a woe is me, whatever. It's just a statement of fact. I've never been happy. And it's just, it's like, it's from my family. My great grandmother jumped off her balcony to her death because she thought the government was after her, which as I get older, I feel like that's the way I may go out. And then my grandmother that was my great grandmother. My grandmother had bipolar and she was in bed constantly, would get bed sores and, she was just always laying there and she was crying while the Dulia Fedia would just cheat on her. And then my mother had borderline personality disorder and she just tried to kill me and my father all the time, And then there's me, carrying the torch. And I just think, no man, no relationship will ever make me happy. And so for me, I think maybe fame would. I still would be miserable, but maybe a little less alone. I'll always have someone to speak to, someone that's interested in speaking to me, someone that I like the notion that I can meet someone and make them fall in love with me. I love that process. Afterwards, it's boring, just that beginning part. And when you're famous, you can kind of do that over and over and over again. It kind of never gets old. Anyways, I'll leave it with this. I wrote this thing a couple years ago, and I'm just gonna finish this video with that. I am incapable of true human relation. I can barely form one, nonetheless maintain one. It's not even a matter of believing I will be famous, which I do, but rather I have to be. There's no other option. No one will ever truly love me in the capacity I demand. I adore the notion of public fame. Make me mythical and far away. Create whatever narrative and let me provide the fuel. And think of me always. Thanks.